So Mafex continues their comic version of X-Men characters with Jean Grey here with the Medicom toy Mafex 6-inch figure. This thing comes in this nice comic book style packaging just like all the previous figures have. And I'm actually pretty excited for this one. Hopefully it turns out to be as good as I envision it in my mind right now. For some reason, looks like Jean has a yellow face on this image here. Kind of weird. I don't know if that's a mistake. But here's the side image. Overall, the box is pretty cool. Here's the top side. There's the bottom. There's the little sticker showing that it is a legit product. And there's also, where is it at on this one? There it is. A little QR code down here that you can scan with the app. There's a specific app to, authenticize Mafex figures now. And you can scan that and it'll tell you if it's real or not. Here's the other side right there. So this thing is still in stock on Big Bad Toy Store in case you guys were curious. And if you're interested, then you can order it with the link down below in the description. So first impressions, the figure feels good, looks good, and is good. I think this is a nice figure overall. She does come with some pretty fun accessories along with 3 head sculpts, which is nice as well. And of course we get the basic flight stand or base with a waist grabber stand. So the figure stands right at 6 inches tall, maybe slightly taller because of the hair, but overall it is exactly 6 inches. So in terms of hands, we have this pair here that has a molded on effect, so you can kind of display her power set. So there's a pair of those, and then we get a pair of open hands. And check out the difference here. Very subtle, but you see the fingers are differently spread apart, but they're both open hands. Very subtle change there. And then we get a pair of fists. Along with that, we do get this little unmasked mask that goes around her neck, so you can display her with the unmasked head sculpt, of course, which is right here. And then here's her other alternate head sculpt with the mask, and you can see there. Very cool, man. These look really, really good. The sculpt and the paint looks really nice. I'm really digging this look. So you get an unmasked face that's pretty neutral, and then a more aggressive, angry masked face. And then of course, last but not least, the third and final head sculpt comes packed in with the figure. It's just the neutral face with the mask. I'm calling it a mask, but you know what I mean. Here you can check out the sculpt of the hair. Pretty cool. It's a solid color. I do wish there was some shading in there, but for the most part, it looks really, really good. I think there's a hint of something there. I mean, I see a little bit of shadowy, but maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. There's a little bit of a gappage here with the shoulder piece. You can move it together a little bit. It takes care of it, but I mean, when the arm's straight down, there's still a little gap there, which could be a little eyesore to some, but at least it's not as bad as it could be like that. So you just gotta kind of squeeze it together a little bit there. But she has this metallic blue color all over the figure, which looks pretty nice. And overall, it's not badly applied. I mean, there's a little bit of bleeding here and there, but for the most part, it looks pretty darn good. And here is a look at her with the unmasked head sculpt with the mask around her neck. So the 2 masked head sculpts have the same hairpiece, but the unmasked version has a different hairpiece, so you can see how it's styled differently. And then here is that alternate mouth open head sculpt on the body. So Jean articulates pretty well. Her head sits on a ball joint barbell peg. Of course the hair will hinder some movement, but she can still look up a little bit. I mean, come on guys, what do you expect here? So she does look down quite a bit. Head tilts are pretty nice, left and right. Then the arms are going to go all the way up, and they go down. They go in and out. Remember, this is on that little ball peg on the back of the shoulder, so that moves in and out. There is a butterfly joint in there. There's also a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows, although they kind of just bend at 90 degrees, like maybe a little bit more, but really for a double jointed elbow, it's not much. Then there's a wrist swivel on that ball jointed hinge. Diaphragm joint at the torso. Crunches forward, back, tilt, twist, swivel, all that. Belt is a loose piece. It was actually packed in like this, so I had to move it down. But the waist does have a ball joint, so that swivels, goes forward and back, and tilts. The legs are going to kick forward. They also go back down. In and out. I don't want to scratch that paint, but let's see how far we can go. About that far right there. and back. We do get a thigh swivel, double jointed knees bend very well. And then for the ankles, we got the hinge, there's a rocker, there's a swivel, and there's a toe hinge at the foot. And as for her butt, they didn't really bless her like Marvel Legends did. So before we head over to size comparisons, just gotta mention that she is a little bit back heavy because of the hair sculpt. So getting her to balance out is a little tricky. She will stand, but sometimes I feel like she's just hanging on there by a little bit and she can fall at any second. So you really gotta play around with the balance. Maybe lean her forward and then kind of bend the torso up a little, sorta, to get a decent just standing up pose, just to balance it with that heavy, head sculpt that she has. And here we have her next to the Marvel Legends version. This is actually the Love Triangle 3-pack Jean Grey with the ponytail head sculpt, and this is actually the head sculpt that this figure is missing. She comes with 3, but she's missing the ponytail hair sculpt, and I think it was a missed opportunity by Mafex. I think they would have really done a good job with it. And this is that same Jean Grey, but with the alternate head sculpt that she comes with without the ponytail. And I also have a little effect piece, custom effect by Slide Effects on her head there. But the same figure, like I said, different head sculpt. So this one did come with the alternate head sculpt with a different hair sculpt. Although the Marvel Legends version does not come with an unmasked version. From what I recall, I don't think she does. So that's where the Mafex has the upper hand. So Hasbro here went with a darker orangey yellow color for the outfit design and a darker blue. This is the Marvel Legends Jean Grey from the Return of Marvel Legends from the Rocket Raccoon Build-A-Figure wave. And this was our very first Jean Grey from Hasbro, I think. I don't know. I may be wrong. But in terms of this costume design, I think it was the first one. And yikes, yeah, it's definitely outdated. Before a brief period in time, this was the figure to have in terms of Jean Grey, and just look how far we've come. Even compared to the Love Triangle Jean Grey, which is leagues ahead of this one right here. But this is all we had at the time, and it's just amazing to know how far we've come. But anyways, next to the Mafex version, you can see again the colors are a little bit more orangey yellow for the yellow on the Marvel Legends version, and then this blue is very similar to the blue on the Mafex, which is that metallic lighter blue color. You guys remember the days when we used to get ball jointed heads with no hinges? And up next we have the Mafex Cyclops figure, which I'm glad I ended up keeping because I almost sold him. I almost got out of Mafex completely, even though I only own a couple. I just felt like I didn't need it. But then I saw Jean Grey coming out soon, and I was able to grab her, as you can see. And I think I'm pretty happy, especially since I do have the Wolverine as well. So that's how she stacks up next to Cyclops. And here she is next to the Wolverine. So I think they are pretty good at, even though Wolverine should be maybe a tad bit shorter, I feel like. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think he's a little bit tall. And here we have all 3 together side by side. And then here she is next to the Mafex Gambit. So overall, this is a nice figure. I actually really like this Jean Grey. Now, when it comes to price, she is on the higher end. She's an import, she is a Mafex, so she does cost quite a bit of money. She's about $60 to $70 before shipping overseas, which ultimately ends up being around $80 to $90 after shipping, depending on the speed that you select. Of course, if you go snail mail, taking 3 months to get here, then it's going to be much cheaper. But if you want it within a week, like I did, and it's a little bit more secured, of course, then you're going to pay upwards to 20 to 30 just shipping alone, which kind of hurts. So it ends up being around 90 to 100, which is what Big Bad Toy Store has her at. So yeah, roughly $100, and it's pretty steep. We already know what to expect when it comes to Mafex. I think if you own the Marvel Legends version, then you might be okay, but if you want a more highly articulated figure with more options when it comes to displaying and posing, then this is going to be it for you. You're just going to have to cough up a little bit more money to get a little bit more quality. That's the name of the game nowadays. If you don't need the fancy articulation and the effects and the alternate head sculpts, then I think sticking with the Marvel Legends version will serve you just fine. So with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Leave a like down below and comment your thoughts. Also, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And as always, guys, take care, take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.